Today we're going to be drawing cats from this angle. Get out. You have to move, kitty. Go. Go on. Come on, kitty. Just as soon as my cat gets off of my paper. There she goes. Okay, just kidding. We're going to draw a mug today. So, you're going to need, I'm using a 2B pencil, but you can use a 2B pencil as well, or your Prismacolor pencil. You're going to need your green H value pencil. That's the lighter of the two, if you remember. You'll need an eraser, and you'll need your blender. And we are going to make this really simple. But when you start a mug, you're going to start with an ellipse. So kind of like an oval, and that is one of the hardest shapes to draw. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a guideline on how to do it. So let me zoom in a little bit here and help you out with that. So you can just try to find an ellipse, kind of like I've told you how to find a circle. So you can start the scribblies until you see the shape that you kind of like, and then you can erase that out. Or you can start with a cross, not exactly a T, but a cross, so a vertical line with a cross section that is slightly higher. And then you can use that as your guideline to drawing your ellipse. Make sure the outside edges are kind of like a parentheses shape. You don't want them to be sharp like a football. So that is step one. To drawing your mug. The top of the mug you see is a circle. If you tilt it back in perspective, what you see is that ellipse. So you can see the similarity here. Where I said you need to put parentheses on this side over here like this. You're gonna see my cat in the video. That is because we need to indicate that this is a rounded edge. So you do not want to draw a football point. That's a mistake that students make when they're drawing their mugs, okay? So the construction of the mug is quite simple. Once you have that ellipse, you're going to draw 2 lines down. You're going to copy this line and paste it down here at the bottom. And then you're going to attach a handle somewhere on the mug, which is also pretty simple construction. And you can use this as a reference or the drawings that are posted online as a reference as well. And then we're going to indicate where's our light source and shade our mug accordingly. So very simple. 2 lines down. You can use your ruler or you can not. You can alter the shape a little bit of the mug if you want to bring it in a little bit. If you want to bring it down at a tapered edge, just whatever you want to do, you can alter it just a bit. I'm going to make mine kind of curve down. And then copy the curve of this line and paste it down here. And you have the basic shape of your mug. We could go ahead and shade it like that, but I do want you to experiment with attaching a handle. So judging from, I'm gonna have it where at this kind of angle. So you have a reference and you can just draw that handle. It's gonna be 2 like backward C's. You may wanna start with this line and then the outside line, and then go and draw where it attaches on the bottom and then on the top there. So. You can alter your handle if you'd like. This kind of scoops to the side, and this kind of scoops to the top, around like that. And then you can draw a little attachment underneath, and then a little attachment on the top here. And that's going to connect to that bottom. This is going to connect to that top. And you may, like in my image here, I can see that overlap. So there's a little bitty line there, and I can see a little bitty line there. So I'm going to remove my reference, and let's take a little bit of a closer look on that. So I first drew this line, backwards C, and then I mimicked this line over here, And then I scooped this one around on the bottom. And I scooped this one around on the top. And then I did a little underside, a little scoop on the underside, and then a little scoop on the top side. That overlaps here, so if you connected it all the way to the handle, I can show you how here is what I'm talking about that I see here. But if I continue to rotate the mug, if it touches, that's fine too. So you could draw it whichever way. It's just a matter of perspective. And then I connect it on the bottom to that little outside line. And then over here I connect it to that outside line. So there I have the handle of my mug. All that's left to do now is shade. So as I've told you all, you can use whichever type of shading technique that you prefer. You should have practiced stippling and blending and hatching and cross hatching and all of that. So that is what you're going to do now. Identify the light source. Let's say that this light is hitting it straight on the handle right here. So I'm gonna, well, actually no, I'm gonna show it shaded like this because that might make the shading for you all a little bit easier. Since there's just a nice open area that would be in light. So light is coming from here. Perhaps the easiest thing is cast a shadow. So there's a shadow. I'm gonna do kind of a scribbly shading technique, and this can be loose, it's fine. Kind of taper it out. You want it to kind of indicate the shape of the mug just ever so slightly. So I'm gonna have that tapered angle and maybe like a little curve on top that I'm gonna blend out. Okay, you want it to be darkest right next to the object, so let's pop that. Dark, dark, dark. Don't be afraid to make it dark, dark, dark. Give yourself a dark where it's meeting the table. Let's put in a little bit of undershadow there as well. Dark, dark, dark. So all this so far I've used with my softer and darker pencil. Let's switch over to a lighter value, and let's say if the light is hitting right here, I'm switching over to my H. Shade around there. I'm going to shade all underneath in here. Now, where I have all those scribbly lines from where I've been test drawing, you don't actually have to clean those up if you like the way they are aesthetically, the way they're looking. A lot of artists keep those kind of scribbly lines because it gives your drawing a little bit more energy, and that's fine. I am going to erase my cheat lines here. And I would also like to refine my ellipse here that's on top because as you can see, it's kind of crooked there. So I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. And I'm gonna go back over and I wanna correct that line just a little bit. And I want this to come on the inside just a bit so that I actually have a brim. So see what happens whenever I, instead of having this curved line here where I came straight down from, I just moved it to the inside just a little bit, and now I erase. And automatically, you have a little bit of a brim there on your cup. I'm gonna do the same thing over here, although I've already kind of done it naturally. Bring that little curve on the inside just a little bit, so it's not perfectly meeting with the outside edge, and you've got yourself a little brim. So where I had originally drawn the top of that ellipse, I'm gonna now go back over and kind of make an extra version of that line on top. So a lot of drawing is just little subtle differences in where you put a line or how dark that line is. So you see me refining and making those changes now. All right, let's really shade this cup. Let's just get after it. So on the right side over here, this is where it's gonna be dark, so you see me even going on the outside. That's fine. That's kind of that energy I was talking about. You can get scribbly if you want, that's fine. Multi-directional shading is also fine. I'm gonna erase rather a little space that's like a reflected light. Make this quite dark over here. So this is gonna be just basic shading. Now, if you don't want to go outside the lines and do all that, you certainly don't have to. You can keep it all nice and clean if you want, but it cleans up just fine with an eraser. Let's shade the outside of this a little bit. So let's say there's a highlight right here. I'm gonna soften this line right there just a little bit and bring some shading over here. Remember that your shadows of objects just need to kind of mimic the shape of the thing. So for example, whenever you were shading the sphere, I said that your shadow needs to be kind of the shape of like that crescent moon, because that mimics the shape of the mug. So in this handle, my shadows are going to mimic the shape of it as well. So this is a little dance. Drawing and painting both are a little dance of how dark do you want things to be, and you can go back and forth and you modify that. I'm going to shade under here and under here on the back. Leave that highlight on the front side of this. I'm also going to go back and erase where I had made it so dark to show you where the lines are. And then on the inside, since the light is coming from here, it's going to cast a shadow on the opposite side on the inside of the mug. So you can see from my example here, just like my light source from my natural window coming here, the light source is coming here. There's a highlight on the mug handle, and then a shadow on the mug handle, and then the shadow on the mug. And look on the inside. You can see that the light hits on this brim. We might try to pop in that nice little white highlight there. And then the shadow is created on the left side. So let's scribble that in. I'm using a variety of different value techniques in my drawing. You may just want to stick to one. I'm going to make it quite dark on the inside here. So I've got some scribbling that I'm layering over with some cross-hatching, and that's fine. And I'm going to start blending as well. I'm going to leave untouched a white part of the paper here. One of the keys to drawing, when you want to make something look lighter, you can add dark around it. So that will provide a little bit more contrast and make that light area pop off a little bit more. Just blending that out. Now I'm going to take my blender. I'm going to soften it up on the inside. Remember, whenever you're blending, you're going to go from light to dark. Otherwise, you're just going to drag all those dark values into that lighter part of the value scale that you just created. You can blend out if you want with everything. Don't have to. Even after I blend, I go back in with some lines because I just like the way it looks better. You can rotate your blender if you want. Blend out those H value lines. I didn't use a lot of them. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase the harsh lines that I created before. What's nice about sometimes having a darker line there before is it creates just the right value after. You never want to press too hard. You should press really light whenever you're beginning out drawing. Again, the only reason I darken those up so much is so you guys could see again what my lines were. So I just softened that up a lot. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to darken way back here underneath a shadow on the opposite side. It's going to intensify. So whenever you place a dark, it pushes that thing back. So I'm going in with some darks to kind of push them a little bit further away from our eye. You have a pretty decent mug drawing right there. You can vary yours, like I said, with the shape of the mug that you draw. You can add details, you can add decoration on the front, all of that would be just fine.